Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Jessica Jones Season 2, Episode 6. It's called Facetime, so full spoilers for the episode as always. Obviously, it's been a few days since we did the last one. We had a really busy weekend, so we're back to it now. Some time to sort of reflect and think about things. Honestly, my first thought of this episode when it started was how much the cliffhanger from the end of the last one was kind of a non-thing.
Yeah, because I remember we said that was maybe the best cliffhanger yet.
Yeah, because the glass was cracking, the water was about to explode in the aquarium, and Jessica looked all worried. We ended in a close-up of her, looking concerned.
I thought we were going to pick back up in the moment.
Yeah, I thought there was going to be like her helping with the crisis in some way, her helping, saving people or something. And this opens, and it's just everyone runs out of the building, and she runs out, and there's some squelching sound effects with her feet as she walks.
That's it.
That's it.
And then okay, that's done now.
Yeah, but then it's just about like getting some security camera footage from across the street to try and track where the doctor went. And now I can stop calling her evil lady now, because by the end of the episode we have have who she is.
It's funny, just on the last cliffhanger. Obviously, this is a comic book show. It was a very comic book issue cliffhanger.
Yeah.
That was pointless. That was just there for a shock effect. I don't see it that often in TV shows, I feel.
Yeah, and obviously comic books can often still pay off their cliffhangers, but yeah, it happens quite a lot where they'll do a thing where, a big cliffhanger, but then it'll be dealt with in a page.
Yeah.
Yeah. And here, I mean, arguably it wasn't even dealt with. It was just, oh no, it wasn't actually that big of a deal. Everyone just ran out of the building, it was fine.
Yeah, but I guess the end of this episode.
Well, this cliffhanger has big ramifications for the plot and emotional ramifications for Jessica, so at least in that sense. Now, I have to make a bit of a confession here. I actually kind of knew this reveal, and have done since like episode 2.
Yeah, so have I.
Purely because IMDb has her listed with a name, and I couldn't help but notice her surname, so I kind of had a guess since about episode 2.
It's been in my mind. I'll be honest.
I mean, they could have swerved us, and it maybe wasn't like someone related to her, but you know, her last name on IMDb was Jones, and you know, there's nothing I could really do.
It's a very common name, but you still assume, don't you?
Yeah. It's just one of the things, we always have the cast lists up because there's a lot of names, and admittedly, maybe this many episodes in we don't need it, but we needed it in episodes 1 and 2 for the new characters. And unfortunately, with this being a Netflix show, like, you know, because I think on a network show or a cable show, it's going weekly, the person won't be credited as their revealed thing later. But because all the episodes went up at once, it was like, okay, well, that's just who she's playing.
Yeah, it'll have been okay for a few hours until someone got to that and then edited it in.
Yeah, and because of that, like, it was just impossible to avoid. So we can fairly talk about the fact that the evil lady is actually Jessica's mother, Alyssa Jones. So
I outright hate this. I hate the long lost or dead, presumed dead parent trope. I hate it with a passion. It's never good.
But they're actually alive, yes. You'll hate something else that you've not seen yet then.
Oh, god damn it, I know what that is.
Yeah, you've just guessed what it is.
Oh, thanks for that spoiler.
Hey, it says something you knew exactly what I was talking about.
Well, there's only a couple of things that you've seen recently that I haven't, that I'm planning on.
Yeah, but I hated it, so... hey, maybe you'll enjoy it more because you'll go in knowing.
Maybe. So tell me it doesn't ruin the movie.
No, I wouldn't say so.
Okay.
So. Now you're giving people hints as to what I'm talking about. Stop it, we're getting closer here.
Oh, it's a movie.
Yeah, say a movie. Alright, so... so we have Alyssa Jones, who, you know, we see the back of her head all, you know, scarred and whatever, presumably from the car crash. We'll find out more details later, I imagine.
It looks burnt to me.
Yeah, but much like we found out that he brought Jessica back, presumably he also brought her back. And obviously she's very unstable, and I guess this will add to some of the themes that we're going. The whole thing where she's like she has anger issues, and then she, you know, the whole ending that we like kind of like, except they overdid it with the that's not me, that'll be ramped up even more now because it's like, no, that's my mother, so maybe I've inherited the anger.
Oh, I hate this so much. Do you know what? I actively don't want to watch the next episode because, you know, when you finish an episode on Netflix, it pops up with the next one.
Mm-hmm.
It's a flashback episode.
Maybe good.
When was the... No. Pretty much every time we have a flashback episodes in these Marvel shows, that is where the series grinds to a halt. every time.
No, I'll debate you because Luke Cage had one like episode 3 or 4 when he was in prison. That was
Okay, that was quite early
yeah,
though.
that was a
But
good chunk of the season. So
okay, so that's it. But that was quite early. But all the rest of them,
yeah, no, it's fair. It's fair. In Iron Fist's case, it's when they go on a plane ride for almost the entire hour.
yeah, that was shite before that.
That was beyond saving, admittedly, but that still stood out as being, oh god, now we're really just like treading water.
It did, yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, I don't particularly like it either. It's kind of, I liked it more when she was a random person. And admittedly, I do see the dramatic possibilities with this.
Yeah.
There is dramatic possibilities there, which I think is why writers always go back to this trope of the long lost mother or father. They always go back to it, and it's such a trope now that I just kind of hate it in concept.
No, that's the problem because you're right. There is dramatic possibilities, which is why they do it, but it's so overdone that I stop caring about the drama from it because I'm just sick of it.
They can win me over. They can do it, but admittedly, because we've been so lukewarm in the season so far, the chances of them doing that with me are pretty slim at this point. But like, it could lead to something great. But I have to admit, I groaned when they kind of confirmed it. I feel like I kind of liked that, like at least Jessica's reaction to it. Like I liked when she was smelling the perfume and she's like sort of like, wait a minute. That was the perfume, like she's recognizing the smell, and she's seeing the photograph of like hers like younger with her brother, and I'm like, okay. But of course, since I'd seen the IMDb credit, I was okay. I know where this is going.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, I didn't hate the scene itself and how it was achieved, but I have to I agree that it's very groan-inducing, the actual revelation itself. And I'll give them
still half a season to go.
Yeah, I'll give them credit. I'm not entirely sure where we're going with this, beyond maybe some of the simpler ideas of, oh, I'm not really my mother. Like she'll maybe try and not befriend her. That's a weird word to use, but try and connect with her mother, but then ultimately be reminded, no, you're actually completely crazy. I have to deal with you. But beyond that, I'm not really sure where it's going to go with this.
I agree that I'm not sure where it's going to go, but I don't necessarily think that's a good thing. You're saying giving them credit for that. We're over halfway through the season now, or just getting to halfway.
Yeah.
And I don't really know what. I mean, it kind of just feels like we're more or less where we started. We're slightly further along, but I don't really know where we're going overall. Like, what's the end game?
I think that's a fair point. Is that it doesn't feel like there's been much advancement. It feels like we treaded water with Trish, and now we're kind of getting to okay. Our story this season, she's addicted to this new drug. And like she's gone off the deep end here, and she's looking for fights. So she's on the bus just looking for people who are like either muggers or whatever. She's just looking for someone to hit.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. When she kicks the guy out the bus and then turns to the guy and goes, "You're welcome," I just laughed. It didn't play off. I think the way they wanted it to for me because I just found it comical. I'm not sure it was supposed to be.
That's fair. Here's my feeling with this season now. Now we're 6 episodes in, and like you say, we're hitting halfway. Episode 7 is the midpoint. I wish it wasn't. I wish 5 was half, but here we are. I do kind of feel like this season, I can kind of see what they're going for thematically, right? Because we've got lots of addiction issues. Jessica's addicted to booze. She's addicted to sex as well. We'll get to the sex scene. Talking about things that made me groan in this episode. We'll get to that sex scene. But so we have her being addicted to things, and it's okay. And obviously you have Trish being obviously addicted to things. Arguably, Malcolm, of course, is someone who's been addicted in the past, and he's kind of either getting better, arguably swapping it out for a new addiction to PI work.
If you could, I don't think that would count as an addiction. That's more of the distraction from the addiction.
Which arguably makes him more interesting, just because he's at a different part than everyone else is, where everyone else is kind of ignoring or denying they've got problems, and they're all.
Yeah, but this is the thing. Trish has already gone through this in her life, right? She was an addict when she was younger, and she's gone through it. So now she's going through it again, which, I mean, that makes sense. People relapse. That happens.
Joe, I think the problem with it to an extent is this is back to the slow pacing, but I think even more than that, just in a sort of broader sense of the season, I think, okay, the story beats that they could get from Trish becoming an addict again to this new thing, and Jessica realized, this is what I said last time when they first sort of, she first inhaled and we kind of got, okay, this is where it's going. I said that, well, Trish going through that might make Jessica finally realise her own problems, and by helping Trish, she'll help herself. And there's good dramatic possibilities there. I think the problem is that they've drug it out so long between like her slowly getting to the point where she's taking the thing, and then now we're getting these longer scenes of her throwing up at the golf club, or shaking, or looking sick, or like emptying her bag out and looking for the inhaler because she's that desperate.
And
classic
then being very
kinda,
relieved when she takes it.
Yeah, I need my fix. That classic kind of like
I will say that the scene when she takes it in the bathroom and she looks in the mirror again. I kind of laughed with the I think it was the way the music, it played it incredibly sinister. And I was like, this isn't a sinister moment. It's a not in a traditional sense anyway.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know, melancholy or
despair, those sorts of things. But this was almost evil.
Or if you want to go satirical with it, you make it super happy that she's just got her fix and sort of play along with her mood. That could work. That could work as well. But instead, it was just like dun dun dun. Drugs are bad.
It was. I was like, okay.
Well, I mean, I agree with the sentiment. It's very on the nose.
They are, but again, this is where it's like, oh, she's taking the drugs. That's evil. Like, I'm like, well, yeah, the drugs are bad, but it's her addiction, her choice that led to this. That's what you play up, the drama of that, and it's kind of playing it in this weird way for me.
It's not a good sign when I'm seeing the addiction problem, and it's reminded me of season 2 of Arrow.
Ugh.
Right now, people are fond of that season for Deathstroke stuff, right? And fine, like what you like. But when I think of season 2 of Arrow, the first thing I think of is the Laurel plot, where she got addicted to pills, all seemingly out of nowhere, and she had this whole problem. And it's hard for me not to think of that when I'm thinking of this, and I'm seeing some of the same beats, kinda.
Yeah, no, I agree. I forgave that more at the time because it's a 22-episode season. It's a subplot. I expect there to be that in things like that in a show of that length.
But on top of that, like, her plot then next went to her learning to be a vigilante, and if we're going down that path with Trish to become Hellcat after this, especially since they're kind of mixing it in where she is already sort of like, when that's part of the drug, is she takes the drug and she gets adrenaline and she wants to go fight bad guys. Well, that's
right, exactly.
Either that or have sex with Malcolm, one of the two, seemingly.
Well, whatever's available at the time.
The question is though, is that what she's got in that inhaler is going to run out.
Yes,
and
it is.
Yeah, and and is she going to become desperate? Is she going to go looking for more, try and find more? Like,
where's she going to get her next fix from?
Yeah, that is, does it just turn into a sort of more traditional problem where she then just turns back to other drugs because that'll relieve her of the pain?
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know, but I don't know. I think a big problem with the season, though, I mean, just on a personal level, is that they're trying to do a lot of things. It feels a little bit aimless. They've got their themes. It's all addiction. It's all this and that. But nothing. I feel like they're all sort of throwing them at the wall. Nothing's sticking.
Yeah, nothing's kind of working together. They're tied thematically, sure, because they're all the same idea at its core.
Yeah.
But on a plot level, they're not really there. They're just kind of things are just happening.
I think it's some of the other, like Oscar, who we've been complaining is bland since the moment he appeared. And in this episode, we had the sex scene. Jessica comes over after the whole aquarium thing, and she's like, "You got booze," and he's like, "Oh, why are you really here?" So I don't want to be alone, and she's all kind of lonely because she was looking at her parents and her brother's ashes, and she's feeling all just feeling lonely, and she comes over and. They start kissing and whatnot, and they spell the purple paint. Of course, it's purple.
I know. I thought the same.
Right. And as soon as they spelled it, I actually kind of go, "Oh, they're going to have sex in the paint, aren't they?" It's just such a TV moment. Like, it's like, and I'm like, they start doing it, and of course, it's spreading the purple paint behind her, and I'm like, oh, okay, it's like the posters with all the purple paint, like that. That's the thing.
Yeah. I get it. I get purple is the color of the show. That's fine, but really.
I don't know. It feels like one of those things that happen in a story that would never really call me crazy, but no part of me would ever want to do this in paint.
Not paint, no.
No, so sticking to you.
Paint's a bitch to wash off. If you're doing some painting, and you get a bit on you, and you leave it to dry,
and it goes hard, and it's kind of crusty, and you feel it on your skin the whole time.
It's itchy. It's uncomfortable.
Especially when you get hair in your arms like I do.
Yeah.
Really uncomfortable.
It's a bitch.
It's really uncomfortable. It's just obviously we're getting into the nitty gritty of this, but I think at the core it's just one of those things that sometimes happens in a movie or a TV show where I'm like, this is such a movie trope that people wouldn't really do.
Yeah,
you know. It's I kind of compare it to like sometimes indie dramas will have this thing, and sometimes I'm okay with them because they're quirky enough to get away with the weird things happening. But they'll have a character who'll like just sort of like stand in the rain with the arms out, going like, "Yes, the rain." And I'm not talking about like Shawshank because that has like dramatic purpose for why he's happy to have rain on him.
Yeah,
I'm thinking just like, you know, a character will like. They'll be one with nature again, and they'll just stand there, and they'll have their like.
Yeah. There's times where I like it, where it's like, oh, the character is into those sorts of, you know, he's like they're like a movie buff or something, so they actively relive like the tropes and aim for that sort of thing. This
one though, I have no justification for like.
Other than it's a TV show.
yeah. Other than it's a TV show, it doesn't feel right to me. And the point I was going to make as well is that Oscar isn't really. He's just kind of there to serve Jessica's plot. He's got a purpose in her story to be this sort of like normal crutch she can lean on.
I think I'm going to say this about another quote unquote character soon, but he's not a character. He's a plot device.
Go on.
Well, I mean, name one thing about him as a character that makes him an actual character, not just there to bounce.
We're still on Oscar.
Still on Oscar,
right.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to do the other one you were mentioning.
I'll get to the other one in a minute.
All right. I mean, he's got a kid. He wants to keep his kid.
Yep.
Which is there. But it kind of feels like it's there just so that it'll serve what he needs to do with Jessica rather than because he's going to have his own plot.
It doesn't make him feel like a real person still.
Yeah. Do you know what this is reminding me of, though? It's reminding me of the... Even when Dexter wasn't terrible yet, there was still a problem in like seasons 3 and 4 where it felt like every plot that didn't involve Dexter himself was just this tacked-on side plot, just so the side characters would have something to do for the season.
Mm.
I remember, like, cause I think it was season 4, it may have been, I might be misremembering this, what season it was, but season 4 is arguably the best season since season 1 for the main plot, a Dexter. Right? Really good plot, with a really good killer. John Lithgow was there. He was doing great stuff, easily the best it had been since the first season. But the side plots, I think that was a season where the captain and one of the detectives were having an affair, and they were hiding it all season, and then by the end of the season it sort of like it got wrapped up and came out and all that, but it never connected to the main plot, and it never really did anything else other than just give them drama to have each episode, and it was tedious to get through. Now, to his credit, Oscar is just there for Jessica's plot, who is the main character, so okay, it's got that going for it, but a lot of the other stuff in the show is reminding me of the feelings I had when I was watching those seasons of Dexter. And obviously, by the time Dexter finished, everything was terrible. But
I think the key thing is there's two types of side plots like that. You can have the ones that are going to connect to the main plot, so they serve a purpose, or you have to actually like the characters. You have to like that you're spending time.
Yeah, like the characters and like the plot that it's going through. And so even if it doesn't connect to anything, you're into the story of itself on its own.
Yeah, exactly. It's got to serve a purpose beyond just drama for the sake of drama. And also, like I said, you've got to like the characters. If you don't like spending the time with the characters, it's going to be a chore.
Yeah, and add on the pacing issues we're having with pretty much all these Marvel Netflix shows, which I still, you know, even when it's doing good things, I still think the pacing's an issue in these shows. I'm actually kind of worried about going back and watching season 1 of this or Daredevil season 1 because I think I'm going to feel that pacing even in those seasons, which at the time I quite liked, but...
Yeah, we always said there was problems in the back third of both of those seasons.
Absolutely.
Where they kind of stall. But I don't know if it's as consistent throughout all the shows as it is now, or if it's... Like, I don't know if they've gotten worse, or if we're just noticing it more and more every show.
Yeah, it's just the fatigue of having it happen over and over again is what's making it
worse.
Right. I think at the core... Because I know like people who are sticking up for this season are people who often like they'll debate us and like when we say something's not interesting, well it is interesting because it's connecting to this and it's that. Ultimately though, it's not engaging us, right? Most of the plot points in this season are not engaging to us, and when you're not engaged, you as a chore to sit through. You're not connecting to anything that's going on. You're seeing the as I always use this for video games. There's a thing in video games where if you're not engaged in what's happening, you just start to see the spreadsheet behind it that's making the things happen.
Yeah, you just see the numbers.
Yeah, and all I can start, and I'm at a point with this show where all I'm seeing is the script breakdown and how each things are supposed to affect the next thing without it actually being engaging in like the illusion of
It's true,
entertainment.
and the thing is, up till this point, I've always had at least the main plot that's kept me going. This episode, I'm not even that big a fan of that because the main plot of this episode is arguably the Trish stuff for most of it, and then because she's often with Jessica when
Yeah.
all this stuff's going down, and her addiction problem is the core focus up till the end, and I'm not really feeling that so much. It's made me laugh a couple of times where it shouldn't be, and then as for the Jessica stuff. So most of it's fine until the end, and then I'm like, right, okay, I'm out now.
Yeah, because her going to I actually laughed a little bit because she breaks into the golf club that's just for guys, right? And obviously like, Trish and that are like shouting sexist things at well, they're not being, you know what I mean? They're just shouting about it being sexist at the front of the desk.
Yeah.
I did kind of laugh though when Jessica, when she's talking to the rich guy who's been funding the doctor, and that's why she's there to see him. At one point, she actually does just like caddy for him. She just like grabs the golf clubs and just like brings them to him. I thought that was kind of amusing. But yeah, she's there to get information. She goes and basically threatens his son in front of him to get some info. Which again, if you're going with the idea that Jessica's getting kind of angry and off the deep end a little bit herself, her actually threatening an innocent person to get her information is maybe her pushing the boundaries of morality a little bit.
Yeah, it's one of those where the problem is I don't believe that she ever was going to hurt him. She's just doing the act.
Sure, yeah.
So even so, I'm like, I'm watching it going, well, she's just doing an act to get her information. It's fine because she's our protagonist. So they haven't done enough to convince me that she is going off the deep end.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you go back to the first episode where she bet up Cheng, and it was like, okay, that moment worked fairly well actually because we kind of applauded that at the time. That was probably one of the better moments of the first episode or the second episode, one of the first two episodes.
Yeah,
when that happened. Here though, like things have been so normal since then.
It really does feel like this is just a tactic to get her information. She's not actually going to hurt the kid.
That's fair.
Speaking of Cheng, where's any sort of plot progression on that for the last few?
It's been missing for a little bit. I said, I mean, it's not been missing that long because we started the last one with her getting out of the police station and he was there to confront her. So he was in the last one, I think.
He was there. It feels like progression-wise, though, there's not much. So there was the first episode or two, where you actually had all the setup and then the confrontation, which put her in jail.
Yeah.
And then you had him say, right, okay, I want a sewer. I think that was the end. I want to say that was the end of episode 3.
Yeah, but then whatever.
And then since then, it's like, okay, well, we're not suing her. Oh, I'll find someone else to sue her. Okay, that's about it.
Yeah. It's funny though because I actually think because of what happened between him and Jessica, he was one of the more interesting new characters in terms of what he was bringing drama-wise to her story.
I always said out of the new stuff, he's had the most presence for sure as a character as well.
Outside of the Wizard, who's definitely the
standout, the
best one.
But he was a one and done.
Which is the problem is at this point we're so far removed from the Wizard that charm's kind of gone, and now we're left with the dull characters. I mean, hey, at least what's his face, Griffin wasn't in this one. So that was a plus.
That's true. I think we're done with him for now.
For now, until he runs into Trish, and Trish is like a junkie, and we're going to have to watch the scene of him being all like.
He's going to be all the White Knight, isn't he?
Disappointed.
Yeah. It just dawned on me.
I think there's something. There's a sign you're not engaged in a show when you're starting to like think of scenes that are probably going to happen in the future, one way or another, and every single version of it in your head's like, oh, I don't want to see that.
Yeah, no, we're far enough in where you can kind of see where some of the threads have to lead,
but not the overall plot.
No, I don't know where that's going. That's just kind of chugging along very, very slowly.
That's the thing, though. We shouldn't necessarily know where the whole thing's going. I guess the problem is that I'm not really sure what the... Like, because I think when you go to other TV shows, when you get to like 4 or 5 episodes into a season of anything else that we love, you can kind of clearly see, okay, this is what this season's about. We don't know where it's going, but we know what season 1 of Handmaid's Tale is about. We know what season 3 of Mr. Robot's about.
You get the point of the season.
You get what the topic that they're dealing with for the season, and we have the topic for this season. I just don't know what they're doing with it beyond the really obvious things that. So I keep thinking there has to be more.
Right. This is the thing for the main plot, which is IGH.
Yes.
And Jessica wants to stop this doctor because it's like, oh, he can't do what he's done to me to anyone else. And now we've got the reveal of the mother's been around the whole time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so that feels like that was a point of IGH, is to bring her to that. So, but she still presumably wants to confront the doctor, and I assume that it's okay. She's going to get talked out of it because the doctor actually did something good by saving her life.
Maybe,
but
yeah.
I mean that's an assumption, but I could be wrong on that one. But okay, so I'm seeing that. But what's the actual point of this IGH? The actual investigation that's going on? Like, there's no mystery to it.
No, you're right. There's no mystery. I think obviously the big thing this season is missing is a good villain that's actually got menace. That's a big start.
Because obviously we thought her mother was the villain at first,
and she still probably will be kinda.
She's antagonistic, but she's not villainous. I don't think, because she's not really in control, is she?
Here's the problem though. We're even having this discussion because I think sometimes we fall into a trap, especially you. Just to put this on you more than me. But you really like to just assume where things are going and then complain about where you think it's going. Right? And I think that's something we should try and avoid doing too much, because I think that's not necessarily fair. But the correlation I'm bringing up, the reason why I'm mentioning this is because I feel like we tend to go down that path because we just don't like anything that's currently happening. So we're trying to look ahead for hope. And we can't see hope. We see just more mundane stuff that we're not going to like.
No, it's true. But... Like, that's what I'm saying. The thing with the mother is, okay, I thought, first she had a bit of presence. She was creepy, right? With the strength and the crawling up the wall.
Yeah.
That was good. And then I'm like, okay, since then we had the scene in the house where she smashes a piano. And
although, shout out to one of our commenters who cracked a fantastic joke in relation to this piano, who said the piano must have asked for vanilla. That was a quality joke. The references one of our better moments of Iron Fist, so...
No, the single best moment.
Yes, the single best. The by far the best moment of that entire show.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah, so Trish pulled out a gun to the shop owner at one point. They had you know what, I was kind of, like, I do kind of like the idea of her, like, interrogating someone who doesn't want to call the police because he's not there legally and he's worried about getting deported. I'm like, okay, it's a bit topical, we're bringing things into it. Like, I'm fine with that on its own.
Is he paying taxes?
He should be.
He should be, but I'm there. If he's there illegally, there's no record of him, right? He's clearly a business owner.
Maybe the business is in someone else's name. I don't know.
Maybe.
Oh, he's got a relative who is legal. I don't know. But hey, so like, so that's fine on its own. Like, I appreciate Jessica Jones taking the time to deal with those things, because Jessica Jones is a show, and arguably a few of the Netflix Marvel shows, like, the one thing I'll give them credit for is they like to address things, they like to bring, obviously Luke Cage looks at racism a lot, this show looks at sexism a lot, and I feel like bringing something in that's also topical from a slightly different subject, it does make sense for the show. So I'll applaud that as an idea.
No, I agree. It reminds me of Dear White People. In the sense that we watch the first episode and we go, okay, I know what this is about.
This is about race, but it's not just about race.
And then you get to the next episode, and it's like, oh no, it's not. It's about all these things, and
because at the core, all of these social issues kind of come back to, if you empathise with one of them, you're probably the type of person who empathises with all of them, because you have empathy for other human beings.
Right, exactly. And so, I think that's maybe a fair criticism of these Netflix Marvel shows, is that they can be pigeonholed quite into just one thing. Like, that's its focus. And so I agree, I do like this here, that Jessica Jones is going, no, okay, we can look at other things as well. It's not just the one issue.
Yeah. No. So Hogarth, we didn't talk about Hogarth yet.
Yeah, the other non-character.
So the nurse is going to steal her stuff and piss off because she heard Hogarth be very mean about her on the phone to Jessica, And then she's stealing her medication and notices what she's taking, and because she has a history of a nurse, she knows what some of the medication's for, and she confronts Hogarth about having ALS, and she's like, "Oh, it reminds me that I used to like care about people. I used to be a nurse."
I used to care about people.
But she is like, "Okay, well, there's another person with abilities, because the only reason why I'm walking is because they had someone who could heal people with his hands." And it's given Hogarth this bit of hope, this hope. The Hogarth story's been very frustrating, I think, because it's felt very melodramatic.
Yeah. Here's the thing.
Okay, here we go. Right.
Nothing has happened in service of her character as this entire plot yet. 6 episodes in, this plot has been going since the start, right?
Yeah, we found out in the first. Well, we didn't know exactly what the exact disease was until a few episodes
but the hospital moment was the first.
That was
episode.
The first one. Yeah.
Yeah. So a plot should serve character development, right?
Yeah.
Nothing has developed with her. All this has done is gone, "Oh yeah, I'm a manipulative bitch. I'll just get back at everyone," which is exactly the same as what she's always done. Like, you know, she's just hitting out against her law partners for doing exactly what she agreed that they would do.
Yeah, it's almost like, okay, they've got an idea for what the point of this is going to be. There's an arc to an extent, but it's like they have the one idea for the whole season, and it's not necessarily enough to actually give an entire season's worth of plot to a character for.
Yeah, and it's really frustrating for me because it's hard to sympathize with it when her whole thing is they want to buy me out because I signed this contract saying that they could buy me out if I did this, or not if I did this, or if something happened. Yeah. And I'm like, and she's going, "You have to stop them. You have to get dirt on them and make it so that I can blackmail them so they can't do this." I'm going, but you signed this contract. You're a lawyer. You know what this entails. You probably helped write up that contract at the time. And if this was one of the others, you would be enforcing it with all of your power.
Yeah, it's very selfish and petty.
It is, which is all she's ever been, really. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
So there has been no development out of half a season of this plot.
She's not changed in any way. It's been her acting out and just waiting for what now seems to be the possible solution to fall into her lap.
Right. And here's the thing. I expect there to be some development by the end where she accepts that, okay, there's nothing I can do. I have to live with this while I can. You know, I assume that is the ending because that's the point. That would be the typical arc.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I actually quite like that.
Or she goes evil and she gets powers.
Also fine, I like that too.
It's a comic book show. That can happen too.
My problem is, that's not a season's worth of arc. It's taking so goddamn long to do any... Like I said, we are half of the season, almost. And we have not actually even started that arc yet. We're in the same place as we started.
And here's the thing as well, is like... Typically, how you would tackle this is you'd give her other plot that's got nothing to do with the illness. That would just be something that's always there in the background while she's participating in other plot. And therefore, it'd always be a part of her character, and maybe things that happen in the other plot, whether that is to do with Jessica or whether you give her something else to do. But maybe during those there'll be little moments where you can see she's thinking about her illness, and maybe it'll affect, and we'll see how it affects her performance in said other activities. Instead, all we've done is focus exactly on the illness, and it's been nothing but I'm acting out, and I want to not lose my company, or my share of my company over it.
Right, exactly. And I feel like they tried to get her involved, because, you know, they brought the nurse to her, but instead of actually involving it with the actual plot, it just immediately became, hey, that's mine now.
Yeah, it's not adding to the rest of the show. It's just kind of sucking other things away from everything else, including time, which is the big thing.
Yeah.
I think that's all. I've stumbled on, I think, what is really becoming a problem with some of these Marvel Netflix shows, and is a problem this season with Jessica Jones, is that there's very little subtext. It's just in your face text.
It is, but really drawn out.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it could be fine if that's punchy, but it's not punchy. It's very drawn out, as if it is something that's meant to be subtle as other things are happening, and it's not. And because it has a very rule 101 of storytelling: show don't tell. You show a character react differently to a situation that we would normally see them react to one way, and that tells us something's changed, something's gone wrong. We can infer that, and that participation in us getting that because we have to think about it just a little bit makes us participate. It makes us more engaged because we're into what's going on. This season, all it's doing all season is just constantly telling us things very slowly.
Right, and I like to think of it this way: like episodes are like chapters.
Yeah.
Each episode, each chapter should have a bit of progression because that's why it's a chapter.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's its own thing.
A chapter inherently might even have, I mean, a lot of TV shows do this, where an episode may have its own theme, it may have its own beginning, middle, and end with a story, and it'll make a point. It'll go into the overall the canvas, if you will, but that one chapter will have its own little point.
Right, exactly. And it feels like Hogarth's plot is instead of being, it should be 13 episodes. It should be, and if they're going to be in every episode, it should be 13 chapters worth of material. Short chapters, admittedly.
Yeah,
but they're going to be in every episode.
Or if you want to half it and have her in every other episode or something, like spread them out, whatever.
The problem is, we're still in chapter 1, so to speak, of the story, because that we're still at the starting point of the story. We're still. This is the setup. This is the illness. And this is what's going to happen and how I'm reacting.
And here's the thing, like, I'd almost wish, like, not even, like, give us a better main plot, but just, like, if the main plot's only worth 3 or 4 episodes, then give us standalone adventures in between. You know how, like, some older network shows would have, like, an overall season plot, but, like, only, like, the first, a couple in the middle, and then the last will be actually part of that plot, and then the rest of them will just be standalone little story. Like, give us standalone little plots for Jessica. Have her go be a PI. Or something.
This is the thing. It's so, especially for this show, it's so obvious because, like you say, she is a PI. So you can have start a case. Okay, I'm out of leads. Fine. Say she does 3 episodes on IGH. She runs out of leads. Do a couple of standalone investigations. Oh, something's come back. Something's come up. I can get back to this now. Do a bit more progression.
Even that is pretty basic, and I'd maybe criticize it if it was that's what we were getting as being a little bit basic. But I think it'd be working better because I think one of the mistakes is, and this is something we get a lot whenever we dislike something. We often get told that we have something specific in mind to what a show should be, and we don't like it because it's not that thing. When we suggest other options, we're not saying this is the only way this could be done that works. What we are saying is,
the first one that springs to mind.
Do anything else that works. Ultimately, all I want is something that works, and what I'm saying here is that this isn't working.
Exactly. I'm not a writer. I'm not going to go out there and say I can do better, because I probably can't.
Oh, you definitely can't.
No, that's fair. But what I can do is I can see problems and say this isn't working. I don't need to be able to say I can do better to know a problem when I can see it. It's like, okay, there's other things you can do.
The easiest ones, you don't have to be able to sing yourself to tell someone else off tune.
Right, you can just you hear you know something when you see it or hear it, And this is the case of, right, okay, here's a suggestion of, okay, maybe you could do, we just said the progression, 3 episodes, do some standalone, come back to it. It doesn't have to be that. It's just I might enjoy that more than this.
I mean, hell, I would probably enjoy just straight a full serialized thing for the whole season. I probably prefer that overall to having the standalone adventures, even though that may work better for some properties. But I only want that if it's actually going to be written to capitalize on it and actually have enough in there to actually feel like there's enough content per episode.
I think this is going back to our first key point is pacing. Serialized content is the most important to get your pacing right.
Oh yeah,
because
if
you're doing episodic adventures, you can have pacing problems within that episode, sure. But overall, you go, okay, there's a season plot, we'll get to it here or there.
But it tends not to be as slow as this, though. More, not always, but more often than not, because if they are doing like a 1-episode plot, they have to start to introduce it, develop it, and then end it. So because of that, by its very nature, it's never as slow as this is.
Right, and then also for the main overarching plot, you then have to do it in... You've got less time to spend on it, so everything's sped up, and you're doing it in more condensed chunks, so you're not feeling like you're spinning its wheels on that either.
Yeah. Like, it almost feels like the entire main plot of this so far could have just been told in post-credit scenes. Just one minute scene after each episode. That would have been enough. Each one could introduce one new thing to the plot.
You have the mother in this one, or one of them would have been Trish taking the inhaler for the first time. Yeah.
I mean, you really could boil a lot of this down to its essentials, and I don't know. I'm at the point now where I'm flat out like not looking forward to watching the next one. Like that's
me too.
Where we are, but we'll do 7. We'll watch this flashback episode. We'll see how it goes. And we'll keep going for now. Here's the thing though, if we get to Lemony Snicket's Unfortunate Events season 2 starting and we're not finished this yet, that might be where the hard cut comes in, because
this is basically going on as long as it is, because there's not much TV on right now. If there was other TV on, and let's say we'd got to this episode, maybe because we might have made it this far.
Yeah,
this would have been the episode where I called out.
Probably. It's just lucky that there's not a whole lot of other TV on right now. When Luke Cage comes back in June, and if there's other things on, then we might have to just call it quicker than that. And the funny thing is, out of all the Netflix content we cover, the Marvel stuff's actually some of the least watched. So it's not even.
It's funny because obviously we always assumed it would be high because it's the Marvel.
It's Marvel.
It's the big thing, and it just never has delivered in the same way as some of the true Netflix originals have.
Weird. Yeah. Even the foreign shows we cover from Netflix do way better than our Marvel Netflix stuff do. It's weird, but I mean, hey, it means that I won't feel too guilty about dropping them if they all start to feel like this. Because we dropped Punisher after 5 episodes, we couldn't finish that.
No, it's true. This is there's a few times where I find myself I'm only watching something because we're going to do a review.
And obviously that'll fall into a lot of episode 1s because we'll try some pilots for the fun of doing the pilot, and even if it's terrible, we went into the MacGyver pilot knowing it was going to be terrible, but we thought, this will be a funny discussion, so let's just do one episode of it.
It's fun to hate on something every so often when you're ready for it. This feels a bit more personal because I actually really love the first season. So this feels very disappointing in that sense, to be in I'm at this point now where I'm going, if we weren't reviewing the next episode tomorrow, I probably wouldn't bother watching that.
Yep.
Like most of the other stuff we watch and cover, even if we didn't review it, I would be watching it because I want to watch that great TV.
We typically keep watching stuff we like and we review stuff we like because, I think there's only so much you're going to get out of us shitting on a show episode after episode for an extended period of time.
Except Iron Fist, which people seem to love us doing.
Yeah, well, that was so train wreck bad that it was just it was constantly entertaining to shit on. Whereas a lot of other shows don't feel like that because there's other shows where we like, and we'll do an episode 1, and we have so many dislikes on our first review of the Orville because I hated it, but people like that show, so they hate the review. Yeah,
you hated it more than I did.
Oh yeah,
on that because my girlfriend was watching it recently. And I caught a bit of episode 9. I saw the back half. It's 20-25 minutes of the episode. Only 3 jokes popped up in that whole time. I was like, wow, they really dialed that back.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So typically we watch things we like because A, we'll be more passionate, and B, especially, it's worth doing pilots, whether they're good or bad, because people want to know if they're worth watching or not. I feel like people coming to watch an episode 6 review of a second season are coming because they want to hear it analysed because they like the show, because they're still watching it.
Yeah, episode 1, it's a service. It's okay, is this worth my time to check out? And they'll come to answers.
After that, it's more like a book club where you're coming for the discussion because you like the thing and you want to hear it analysed and talked about, and, how did we feel about whatever thing. So, and
of course, there are other people who hate watch things.
Oh, of course, that is a
want
thing.
To hear other people shit on it. But generally speaking, that's not the case.
But hey, I guess everything I just said kind of says we probably should drop this soon if we're hating it this much. But
it does, doesn't it?
But I will let the comments weigh in on this. If people would be upset if we stop watching this, if we stop covering this, please do comment. Let us know. Whether it's in the comments or on Twitter @mailed_fuzz. Let us know. Would it bother you? Do you want to see us finish the season and keep sort of dissecting it and be generally shitting on it? Because that seems to be where we're heading.
I will say there are always one of the key points where we cut off a show is where the reviews get to 10 minutes long and we're like, well, we've got nothing left to say because we're just repeating the problems.
And we're at 40 minutes plus here. Yes.
This is not that problem. This is new problems in this episode. Like the end reveal, that's a whole new can of worms that we can dissect into and say why we like or don't like things.
Yeah. Say what you want about this season. It is giving us stuff to talk about, even if it is mostly negative.
Yeah.
So
there's been underlying problems that are consistent, but it has given us new things each time. which is probably not great because that means it's objectively it's getting worse by that rating.
No,
But
that's
you
true.
know,
That's true. I think so. What the sad part is between Defenders being disappointing by the end of it, because it started off okay, and it was disappointing by the end. Punisher just dropped, wanting to just end that a couple of episodes in, and then now this being as, we're as down as this as we are. I'm at a point with the Marvel Netflix stuff where I am genuinely just completely apathetic for the entire thing. Like I'm not excited for Daredevil season 3. I'm not excited for Iron Fist season 2. Obviously, I'm not excited for Luke Cage season 2. I'm not excited for the possibility of a Defender season 2. I'm not excited for obviously Punisher season 2 because I didn't even finish the first one.
Here's the thing: they could announce a whole new show, and I'll go, okay, I guess we'll check out that.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be curious if they announced a Moon Knight or a Blade. I'd be like, okay, let's check the first one out because it might be interesting.
Yeah, but they've set a precedent now where I'll go. It might be interesting because it'll be different. It'll be no premise, new characters, but I expect a similar quality. I mean, of course, it could surprise me. Individual showrunners could be better, but there's an expectation now that they have to overcome my apathy to get interest.
It is amazing to me just how much better Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is than all these shows. It is gobs, because that show on a weekly basis makes us laugh. Hell, episode 100 was getting a bit teary-eyed as well, I'm not going to lie. But we care so much about those characters and everything they've went through and what they're going through now.
And also something as far back as maybe, late season 2, early season 3, we've been saying it moves faster than we expect. Every time we expect, earlier in this very review, I said on Arrow, I forgive that thing in season 2 because I was enjoying the main plot of the season. I forgive that side plot because it's a 22 episode season. I expect things like that. S.H.I.E.L.D. took those expectations and went, nah, that thing you expect dragged out over 22, we're doing it in 9.
And you know what? People can shit over that first season all they want. But you know
what? I have been there. I will shit over the first half of that season. I will. But it's one of the best shows on TV right now.
But you know what? Everything since is better than almost all these Netflix seasons. And seasons 4 and 5, especially.
Yeah, maybe minus the first arc of 4.
Oh, sure, but that was the other thing S.H.I.E.L.D. did to really improve it, was it split up into arcs so that there was like many seasons within the season.
Yeah. And there was a point where obviously we thought these Netflix shows were going to do that with Daredevil, where it had that first 4-episode arc of season 2. Which was its own defined thing. That was a story, and it's there to come back to. But
that was the thing. That first 4-episode chunk of season 2 is probably maybe some of the best of this whole Netflix Marvel slate.
I agree with that. Yeah.
And then it went immediately downhill after that.
Yeah.
So, damn.
I mean, and Luke Cage tried it. To be fair, it split into its 2 distinct halves that season, and again, the first half is just better. Unfortunately.
I don't know, it's rough. But hey, so that's episode 6 of Jessica Jones. We should be back tomorrow with episode 7. And by all means, weigh in if you think that if you want us to finish the season. I'd be very curious to hear. Again, on Twitter at @mailed_fuzz, in the comments on YouTube, whatever suits. But that is us. So like, subscribe, all the usual stuff. Get us on the Twitters, as I've said, mailed_fuzz. You can support the channel on Patreon at patreon.com/mailedfuzztv. There's a link in the description. But otherwise, that's us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. And we'll be positive about something soon. Promise.
I'm sure we said something positive in it. Oh, we did. We praised the tackling other issues.
Oh yeah, that one scene. Yeah, we praised that one scene.
Yeah, there we go. There was some positivity mixed in.
But in a more general sense, I think there'll be some positivity in other reviews and
go watch our S.H.I.E.L.D. reviews.
Yeah. But hey, so thanks very much, guys, and we'll see you next time. Have you got any vanilla?